Hello and welcome to another episode of MOPO's podcast, where it's all matter of personal opinion. I'm Rob. I'm here with Dave. You can find us on Twitter at The Scientist and
at Dave Roach 83.
And today we were thinking about talking about Civil War.
Marvel Civil War.
Marvel Civil War. No North versus South. More like good versus good.
Yeah.
I really liked the way they did it. Honestly, I only had a couple gripes, but I feel like we can get into that a little bit later.
Okay.
I guess started off, we have introduction of some new characters. We have Black Panther.
Oh, yeah. When you said start off, I thought you were talking about for the beginning of the movie. I'm like, there's no new characters at the beginning of that movie. But,
So we had the introduction of some new characters, which I really liked. Black Panther. We have Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which everybody knows from like the little teaser.
Mm-hmm.
We have... Who else do we have as far as new?
Well, I mean, Thunderbolt Ross was in there. I mean, I don't know if you're too familiar with him, but in the comics, he's like the Hulk's girlfriend's dad. Or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, wait. Are we talking about like the general that took over?
Yeah.
With the white mustache?
With the white mustache. That's Thunderbolt Ross.
Okay, I did recognize him, and I did recognize him as the father of Banner's girlfriend. But I was like, is that really him?
Yeah.
Because he was from like the way back Hulk.
Because that movie is canon in the MCU. The one that had Edward Norton in it.
The one that had Edward Norton in it is considered canon. Okay,
and absolutely. Like,
so I was kind of like, is that him? Because I was thinking Marvel says everybody who is who they are remains who they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I like was thrown for a second.
Yeah, they had the guy Crossbones, the villain at the beginning, who was the guy from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he was like that S.H.I.E.L.D. Agent that was basically rogue. He's really Hydra, but it seemed like in the movie he had like his own agenda.
Okay.
Going. So yeah, I mean, as far as like new heroes, I don't really think it's just Spider-Man, Black Panther for sure.
Okay, and then we had some characters making a comeback that we haven't been able to see really, like Ant-Man. We really only got to see him in his own standalone.
Yeah.
We haven't really got to see him interact and do, like, I guess, Avenger-type fighting.
Sure.
With other superheroes other than, I guess, he went against the Hornet. Was that what it was?
No. Like, the Yellow Jacket.
Yellow Jacket, that was it.
And, he did, like, have a little tussle with Falcon.
Oh, that's right, he did.
Movie, too.
He did. That's true. I totally forgot about that. I loved his role in this movie.
Oh, yeah, he did a great
was so
job.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Such a funny actor.
Yeah, like perfect for
I love him as Ant-Man.
Too, yeah.
Love him as Ant-Man. I thought they did a really good job with Peter Parker.
Oh, yeah.
I had no trouble falling right in line. Dude, that's Peter Parker.
Yep.
Like, he had the mannerisms. He had the quirky little, unsure teenage angst.
But then he puts on the mask and he has all the charisma in the world. Like, it's his ability to be free behind the mask. Spider-Man's iconic character. Like, you're going to love Spider-Man, almost regardless. So...
And I love the back and forth.
Good job,
he's fighting and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I got to do this, man. Like, I'm a really big fan."
Well, because that's what Spider-Man always was to me in the comics. Growing up as a kid, he'd be the one to be talking junk while he's kicking, the villain's butt or whatever, getting inside their head and just basically give them a hard time, while they're fighting. So Spider-Man is the man. I think he's probably the most popular character in Marvel Comics for sure. And, he did a really good job of portraying it.
And I was happy that we were past the death of Uncle Ben, but still before he kind of established himself as Spider-Man, like with the suit and everything. He was still wearing sweatpants and a hoodie. You know, and that to me was pretty humorous.
Yeah, it was like, because everybody knows Spider-Man. Like, there have been 5 movies in the last, 10, 15 years.
Yeah, and we're going over the same storylines over and over again, practically.
Like, so there's really no need to do an introduction. Even when, he's going to get his own movie, they're going to call it Homecoming. Even, there's not going to be a need to touch on, maybe he might flash back in his head.
Yeah, but we don't need to do that all over.
Yeah, like, and that's a smart move.
I agree. Now, what is Homecoming supposed to be about? Not to, like, go on tangent.
I'm not sure. I mean, there was a...
Because I haven't even heard of that.
There's, like, the comic story Homecoming, basically... I didn't read it, so I couldn't tell you exactly what it is, but it's it's derived from the comics.
Okay, all right. We have the return of Scarlet Witch. She's still in it. We didn't see any Quicksilver.
Because Quicksilver got killed in the Avengers 2.
Like, he's dead for dead?
He got shot up. Dead.
See, I didn't...
Fast don't make you invincible.
Fast don't make you invincible, but...
bulletproof.
I'm a little surprised that they just killed him off then.
I'm not.
No?
No, like, Quicksilver and really the Scarlet Witch 2 are like one of those in-between properties that they don't really own.
Well, they don't... So it's not even
movie,
so it's not... I understand what you're saying.
You're promoting the other guy's stuff.
But I feel like if you're doing a storyline that involves heavily a character, whether you're sharing it or not, like, is it really... is the game really like that?
It is what it is, man. They do some grimy stuff just to make sure, like, Marvel Comics cut off the Fantastic Four. They don't make Fantastic Four comics anymore, so Fox can't just get stories and use those properties, because anything in the Fantastic Four comic books, Fox own. Anything inside the X-Men comic books, Fox own.
And they are not very good at creating stories.
No,
like, they have a decent amount for a few movies. Like, they could make some really awesome movies if they wanted to.
It is a shame because
but they are destroying it every single time.
Fantastic Four is what made Marvel big back in the day. Like, they are a cool group with a badass villain.
Yeah.
And you should be able to make good movies out of this.
Yeah, it's like, who are these writers?
Somehow, you even squander Jessica Alba, and you can't make a good movie. Like, how... I don't know, it's mind-boggling.
It really is. It really is. But back to Civil War.
People who can make good movies.
These movies are really... there's a few points here and there that really... I'm like, why did they do that?
I'm not a big fan of the Thor movies.
That seems more of a romance style movie.
But I love the Iron Man movies. The Captain America movies obviously are awesome. The Avengers I thought were both awesome. I mean, if you want to throw in the Incredible Hulk movie or whatever, like that,
I really like the Edward Norton one.
Yeah,
I really like that. I was sad to see him not keep the role. Yeah, especially if they kept the movie as canon.
Yeah, especially if it's canon. But I think Mark Ruffalo does a very good job as Hulk.
Dead on. I think he does a great job. It was just one of those, like, I favor Edward Norton. Just because he's a good actor.
He did a good job.
Mark Ruffalo, you are Bruce Banner. Like, I had, once again, no problem believing it, being like, that's not Edward Norton. Like, what the hell's going on? Yeah. But it's like, that dude looks just like Bruce Banner.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, do it. He's a lot more average. He's got a little bit more meat on him.
Yeah, he's a little bit thicker, and I think it's easier. I mean, I know it's CGI, but even when he's the Hulk, he looks more like the Hulk.
No offense to you, Mark Ruffalo, calling you average, but...
he's not gonna, if he weren't a movie star, he wouldn't be pulling chicks like that.
But so, Civil War, we start off with an incident in Africa, right?
No, it wasn't in Africa, but it was like... Oh, Christ.
Well, Africa, the continent.
No, because... No, it was somewhere where people from Africa were there meeting, with other people to try to Like, because that's basically what you're referring to, is the African
I'm talking
people
about,
who
like,
were,
the very first
where
scene.
the building was blown up and
Yeah.
the people died in it. Like, that was, I don't think that was in Africa. I just think some African people were killed.
I thought it was the Wakandan...
The Wakandan people
the Wakandan
were killed.
people that were killed.
Yeah.
But that's a separate country in Africa.
Yeah, like, it's like impenetrable and so on and so forth, and they're known as, you know, insiders and not messing with the outside world at all. But what happened was, in the events of the Avengers 2, somebody was able to steal vibranium. I believe it was Ulysses Claw was able to steal vibranium that Ultron used to help build his army and so on and so forth. And because of that, they were like, man, maybe we should reach out, you know, to these other countries, you know, they can help us keep ourselves safe, you know, so on and so forth. And that just so happened to coincide with this, you know, fight that the Avengers are having with Crossbones. And things escalated and people died. And yeah, and that's what it would be in real life, though. If there were a group of superpowered people just running around, running roughshod, people would want them to be in check. Like, people wouldn't ultimately just be like, oh yeah, that's cool. Although, I mean, if you see the movie, you know, we shouldn't have to say spoilers, because this movie's
been out. Like,
yeah, it's made plenty of money, so I'm sure you've seen this movie more than once.
You have 2 weeks. If you haven't seen the movie in 2 weeks, that's on you.
So, like, but anyway, like, the blast was ground base, where everybody was running around it. If Scarlet Witch didn't do what she did, a lot more people would have died on the ground than in that building. And it's not, you know, to dismiss anybody's life, but, like, they're only looking at the bad. And, like, I think it's funny because, you know, when Ross calls these dudes out, you know, they're all sitting there in the room, and he's going over all the bad stuff that happened. Why does nobody be like, oh, alright, well, there we saved 5 million lives, but 15 people died. You know, they're not, nobody's pointing out the good. They're just pointing out all the bad stuff these dudes are doing, like they don't save the Earth on multiple occasions.
Well, yeah, and it's like, it's all good until some collateral happens to you. Now, I'm not saying it's okay what happened, but yeah, I mean, they were doing their best to save. Yeah, like, that bomb, like, what was going to happen? They were gassing it and they were stealing, so they would have been okay if those people got murdered and that agent was stolen. Okay, it's good because no people died outside of that compound, is basically what they're saying. Because once they got involved, people outside of that facility died.
Well, it was out in the street.
Well, yeah,
Dude, man did the self-bomb.
But I'm saying, if they weren't there, that wouldn't have happened. But at the same time, if they weren't there, the people inside the facility still would have died, and they actually would have gotten away with the agent.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like, okay, those people would have died because they got involved, but even more people would have died if they didn't.
Yeah.
Like, a bomb would have went off somewhere.
And that's basically what I'm saying. Like, they're not pointing out the good. They're not looking at, oh, you know, they did this much good. They're only looking at the bad. And basically they're like, you know, the government's like, yeah, you gotta check yourselves. And, you know, immediately Iron Man is like, you know, that's a damn good point, because this
then
lady
they ended up bombing the conference later.
Well, this lady came up to him, you know, basically blamed him for her son's death at that bombing. And, you know, it affected Iron Man. He's like, yeah, you know, maybe we should be, like, you know, checked. And Captain America's just like, yeah, you know, maybe we should just think this out and make sure we're not, you know, limiting ourselves and, you know, like, restricting ourselves. So they kind of, like, you know, take some time to think about it, but, like, Iron Man is, you know, I'm for that. And Cap is ultimately like, dude, nah, you know, like, I don't think this is right. But what happens is that bombing they basically blame it on the Winter Soldier.
Which, I'm sorry, but that picture did not look like him.
I think it did.
Did it, though? Because I'm looking at it, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, that doesn't really look like...
And, I mean, flash forward, ultimately, he was set up.
Yeah.
And Cap does not believe that this dude did this, and ultimately, he winds up being right.
Yeah,
so,
Bucky.
all this that we're going to talk about is, Cap is right the whole time. Like, so it's like, damn. Like, if y'all would have just listened to Captain America and been like, yo, maybe, we should chill out before we just jump to conclusions, maybe half this, this would be like a TV show. Or whatever. It wouldn't be a 3-hour movie or whatever. They could resolve this.
No, but even if that, they throw out, oh, well, we're gonna wake up the Winter Soldier project, which is what I thought was being implied. I was very caught off guard when they walked in and they were all killed.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm like, why the hell are we here?
Yeah, why?
Why did we come here?
It's like unnecessary.
I mean,
to like have that background on the program.
Yeah.
Like to have all the other people. That was unnecessary.
It's like, okay, now I know that happened. Like, the only thing that allowed was a big reveal for a video of Bucky killing Iron Man's parents.
Right.
Which he could have just fucking emailed that shit to him.
Right, yeah. And like, how did Doom-Man know Iron Man was going to be there anyway?
But that's what I mean. It's the most ridiculous thing.
Like, I don't know, it's a little bit fishy, but yeah, he could have had a lot easier way of showing Iron Man that video. It's because everybody knows Doom-Man's Tony Stark.
You could have just sent Tony Stark that email and then went to Siberia and killed all those Winter Soldiers and been done with it. Yeah. Nobody even would have known you existed.
And your plan would
have still worked.
It probably would have worked.
Would have still worked.
Because at that point in the movie, Iron Man realizes, like, damn, I messed up. Like, Cap was right. This dude really didn't do that. I gotta go try to help him. And everything is good until he sees that video and he sees Doom-Man choke out his mama. It's a wrap it. I don't blame Iron Man for that or whatever. Because it's like, right or wrong, brainwashed or not, you just kill my... Yeah, that's the dude who killed my mama.
That just happened.
Like, I didn't know how they really died. Like, I just knew they died. Like, I didn't... you got a suspicion that they were murdered for what they knew or whatever. But, no, there's no reason to murder his mom. She didn't know nothing about nothing. But you're a witness.
They even touch on, like, the beforehand at the very beginning of the movie with Tony
that's called
doing, like,
foreshadowing.
the reliving
the moments,
the whole event.
Yeah, reliving. He relives the moments before of the last time he's ever seen his parents before they leave and die in this car crash or whatever. And I'm telling you, it's like he does it by showing off this technology he's working on. And Doom-Man is sitting there like a hologram projection of himself, looking like weird science and whatnot. Like, he looked young.
He was like Ferris Bueller young.
Yeah, like. And I'm like, at first I'm like, because they don't tell you this until, 15, 20 seconds later. And I'm like...
because the whole time I'm like, yo, man, they got some, like, crazy CGI making him look like this.
For real? That's Robert Downey right now? And then they pan over and like, oh, of course, dum-dum, like that was obviously a rendering of himself. But, yeah, like, he's good with Cap, and then all of a sudden he sees that go down, and he just wants to kill the Winter Soldier after that. But, like... it's funny because, this movie is based off of a comic. And I'll say loosely based because, there was some aspects. There was, like, this, legislature that was passed. They expected these people to sign. And, Captain America refused to, and he led his team versus, Team Iron Man. But the comic was much more dramatic than the events of this movie. I'm not saying the events of this movie were lighthearted, but, there were some lasting effects, but there weren't too many, War Machine, gets hurt pretty bad.
Yeah, I was worried about that.
Aside from that, there wasn't really too much like dramatic action, like where
that airport scene was.
No, I'm not saying that was awesome. That was cool.
But you're saying like dramatic, emotion filled,
like
like you're actually like heartfelt.
Yeah, like something bad is really happening.
Yeah.
They're just like to me it just looked like a brother on brother like tussle or whatever. But I did like at the end in the final fight where
that was a good fight.
Where Bucky and Cap are tossing around the shield and it's like digging up in Iron Man's ass and shit. But it's funny, they touch on the comic at the end of that fight where kind of Bucky's head, he gets his arm ripped off. He's like, and it's just Iron Man and Cap. And in the Civil War, they touch on, like, Captain America teaches Tony Stark how to fight in the comics, like how to really take care of himself or whatever. And basically, he has this program in his suit that, like, he mimics the movements and stuff. So what he does is, he does that in the movies. All right, we're not going to beat him, in a straight up fist fight. Analyze his moves.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
Remember all that. And that's basically what he did in the comic. And they had that awesome scene where, like, he has the repulsor blast and he's bringing the shield down. It's like, and they blast off each other, and you see like that shock of light.
Oh yeah.
And that's basically a scene from the comic, where it's like, I think that's even the cover of one of the Civil War comics or whatever. I thought that was really cool how they integrated that in there.
That I was nervous because I was like, did he just kill Iron Man? That metal's gonna dig into his heart.
I'm like, but when that Johnny turns off, ain't that his heart turning off right there?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, is that just the suit one, or is that his body one shining through?
Right. I'm like, Cap, you ain't no joke.
I was like, damn, dude. Like,
and honestly, I think
it's like without that, he's got like 2 days, right?
I don't even know. I'm talking about. I was like, for him, so I'm like, they just killed Iron Man right there. Like, I didn't know how long he had or whatever, but he wound up being all right. But yeah, I think Captain America won. I think he won that fight.
Oh yeah.
I think he was right. In his moral stance, and then he beat Iron Man the fuck up.
And at the end, he does the right thing, and Bucky himself even does the right thing, where they freeze him again.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm tired of living like this.
Get this shit out of my head, or just keep me frozen.
Yeah, and that's,
he's been involved in a lot of really messed up stuff, but at the same time, it wasn't at his own free will.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a messed up situation, because he truly didn't do it himself. He was under mind control, but you still physically did it, though. So it's like, man...
It's like, who you going to blame?
Yeah, like, that'd be a rough situation. And like, he even touched on it. Iron Man's like, oh, do you even remember them? And he said, I remember them all. And that's got to be something rough to live with.
It's probably like experiencing it all, but not being able to control it.
Yeah, like God knows how many people he killed for them or whatever. They don't touch on that.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I think they do, but I don't remember. Like, maybe not in that movie, but maybe in, Captain America: The Winter Soldier or whatever.
Okay.
Like how many?
Because that was kind of like a Hydra fueled Bucky story.
But yeah, I don't. But I remember, I don't think it was a low number, honestly. But
Yeah. Still on Winter Soldier. Okay, they walk in and they're all killed and stuff, but we couldn't have that one guy still alive. Like, they walk in right when he's about to plug him, and then he breaks out. Like, he releases them or something. I just wanted to see... I think that would have been an amazing fight.
They wasted that. Like, where they could have fought...
Even if it was just
soldiers.
One. Just one. Because I think that would have been a fair fight, considering how tough of a...
And then, after he beats up your Winter Soldiers or whatever, then you could show him
the video, and then, I think it was just a missed opportunity.
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
for the introduction for it. It was like, they build you up,
that build up
and then...
for nothing?
Yeah.
Just show them all getting bullets in their head.
But I mean, it did pose a legitimate threat, because if he did release them, you know, it would have been an issue.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, it does loosely drive the plot.
Right. So, yeah, so basically, I mean, they disagree, and then, you know, they're blaming Bucky for all this stuff, and Cap don't want to believe it, and, you know, Iron Man and everybody, you know, they got Wasp with them, and, of course, War Machine and the Vision.
Oh, Wasp was there?
I'm sorry, Black Widow.
Okay.
You know, initially he's on Iron Man's side, and, you know, they're all like, yeah, we got to bring this dude in, you know, whatever. But what happens is, when they have this meeting, basically talking about the legislature, you know, there's another bombing.
Yeah.
And that's where the Wakandan king
Is murdered.
and that's where we see T'Challa come in, the Black Panther. And, I mean...
Or the next rightful heir to the title.
I think he was the Black Panther, but now he's the king.
Oh, now he's the king on top of it.
Yeah.
But so was his dad then before him the king once the Black Panther?
Probably.
So that's just probably passed on a little bit earlier.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, it's passed on from king, you know, to next king.
Okay.
Or whatever. Like, but, you know, his father was so old, I couldn't see him.
He wouldn't still have been. Yeah, that would have been.
But, you know, he's obviously pretty pissed. Thinks,
I found it kind of funny how nonchalant, when they're all chasing Bucky and we kind of first see the Black Panther, and everybody's like, oh, who is this guy? And they get to that one intersection in the overpass, and Scarlet Witch and Captain America show up. Or Black Widow and Iron Man show up. And Black Widow just looks over and is like, oh, Your Highness. And it's like, you're not going to address the fact that he's a superhero like you are?
Like,
you're just like,
crazy
hey, Your Highness, how you doing? Like, this is the first time I'm finding this out, but clearly, you know, that's cool.
Clearly you're T'Challa. Like,
Right?
I wouldn't have no reason to know this, but I gotta assume, because I'm racist as hell, you're a black guy in a black suit. And you're...
Well, no, he had the mask down, I think.
Did he?
Yeah, I think he had the mask down, but it was all nonchalant, like,
yeah,
oh, Your Highness, how you doing?
You know, I'm going to say it because I believe it. Like, I think his accent was a little bit much.
I thought it was...
Like,
I didn't think it was overdone.
I think it was overdone a little bit. Like, it was like half funny. Like, it wasn't like hilarious, but I'm like, bro, you're not from Africa. Like... That's pretty forced, right there. It could have been a little bit taken aback, you know, like, take it back a notch, bro.
I don't really have anything to go off of on that.
I'm just saying, like, I've seen, you know, Black Panther portrayed in cartoons, and
it was a better voice?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a more, like, realistic, like...
Oh, really?
Yeah, like his...
I've never seen any Black Panther
real
cartoons.
black people talk like that, or ever, anywhere.
But, yeah, so, speaking of Black Panther, what do you expect to see in the movie?
Now, what I heard was it's going to be a 90% African-American cast, which it should be.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm not the only one who's heard of that. You've heard of this.
And
there's a big controversy over that.
Now, I've also heard that the boy who played the Flash in the Fantastic Four is going to be in the Black Panther movie.
Okay.
So that basically probably kills any chance of a Fantastic Four 2. Because they were actually still considering making...
Well, why would it kill it? Because if Fantastic Four isn't part of the Marvel Universe as it's being bought, it has nothing to do with Marvel's quote-unquote canon.
But, you know, we'll see. But, like, I was thinking, like, if they're truly going to keep it how it should be, you know, an isolated country in Africa only black people. They don't got white people there. So there'd be basically 2 white people in the movie. Ulysses Claw would be one of the villains, and then you'd have Stan Lee somehow make an appearance. But it's like, how would you do that? Like, how would he make his appearance? He'd be like stuck in a jail cell or whatever. Like, I was just on a photography trip or something. Like,
oh man, that would be because he's got to be in there. I totally didn't even think about that.
So but I mean, I'm hoping to see like Claw. I'm hoping to see like what Michael B. Jordan would possibly be in the movie, because you don't waste, he's a great actor. Like, you don't just give him a bit part. Like, and it's not like Black Panther got like a sidekick, like little Panthy or whatever, like Black Panther Kitten.
But I mean, he could be another warrior.
He could. Why? What? Just some random warrior who has no purpose or meaning?
Well, you're telling me the entire country of Wakanda has no military service.
The warrior class in Wakanda are women.
Oh, well, see, I don't know nothing about the Black Panther, man. I'm talking out my ass right now. Why don't you say this shit before I tell you?
Before I open up my trap.
Right.
But, so it's unlikely that he would be affiliated with the Black Panther. I'm thinking he's going to be a villain. Now, I want to call him like White Ape or something like that.
Well, so what? There's no men in Wakanda?
They're men, but they're not fighters.
They're not fighters, you're telling me? So he can't be a scientist or something?
There are no... He does not have any sidekicks.
I'm not saying he's got to be a sidekick. He walks into this laboratory because he got all this crazy
some random scientist bit part. You're talking about a bit part. I'm talking about
he might be working on some sort of newfangled way of defeating. That's garbage. The Infinity Gauntlet or some shit.
No,
he's coming up with new ways of using vibranium in instruments to make like sonic guitar weapons and dude, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I don't know.
You think he's going to be a villain then? They're going to have 2 villains in that movie?
Yeah, why not?
And then you think it's just going to be a just Black Panther?
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be an origin?
I mean, I would hope not, considering we've already seen him. So why?
Well, no, I mean an origin as in the history of the Black Panther tradition.
I mean,
kind of where
sure
Wakanda came from, how they developed themselves.
But I don't think it's going to be like a story enveloped by his becoming the Black Panther.
Oh, no, not that. I mean more of, like, the before him history. That's what I'm talking about. Because if it's something that's passed down, obviously the origins would have nothing to do with him. He's only, like, umpteenth in the next the next line.
So, yeah, I mean...
But,
yeah, he has, like, a main villain, like, who's, like, he wears, like, the skin of an ape. I think it's, like, a white ape. I think they call him, like, white ape or grape ape or something like that.
Grape ape.
Not grape
They
ape.
don't call him grape ape.
Great.
Oh, great ape.
But, they call him Mr. Purple. But,
yeah.
For Jessica Jones. But, yeah, like, I would...
Well, then they'll probably have him then... And probably not Mr. Claw.
I would think they'd still have Claw in there, too. He's a Black Panther villain, so... But they'd already introduced him in earlier movies.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, he was in Avengers 2. He's the guy that Ultron got the vibranium from. He cut off his hand.
Okay.
But, so... So they're basically, so Black Panther now is trying to get Bucky, and Captain America and the Falcon are, you know, trying their best to, like, get to Bucky first and, like, try to figure all this out. They don't believe that he did any of this. And in the midst of all that, they basically come to a head, and there's a fight scene in this movie where basically, you know, Team Cap versus Team Iron Man, you see the first appearance of Spider-Man in his new costume. So they're leading up to this conflict where, you know, all right, both sides are anteing up here. They're like, all right, we got to do what we got to do. So Iron Man pops up at Peter Parker's house. Like, we don't know that he knows Peter Parker, but Peter Parker doesn't know that he knows either. And basically, Peter Parker walks in his house, and you got Aunt May.
And damn, Aunt May.
Yeah, Marissa Tomei.
Like, that was not who I was thinking they'd have as Aunt May.
Jeepers creepers, lady. Like, wow. Like, she looked phenomenal. I'm like, you gotta be, like, close to 50 years old. Like, am I right?
Great.
And she looks better than most 30-year-old girls I know. Like, wow, she was looking good. And, like, you got, you know, Tony Stark sitting there hating on your aunt in front of your face. And you're all like, what is Tony Stark doing? He's like, you know, you got, like, some money or something, you know, like, for some grant money or, you know, something. And he's like, you know, let me talk to you. And he goes in, takes Peter Parker aside into his room, and basically puts him on blast. You know, basically, I know you're, like, this kid who runs around in his underwear, you know, or whatever you're doing, but, like, you got some skills, kid. Like, you're going to come help us out.
Yeah, because he is really smart. I mean, he does develop those cartridges.
Oh, yeah,
and
like,
and I'm glad I'm glad that's the Spider-Man we're working with.
Yeah. Although, you know, Tobey Maguire, I did think it was cool, you know, that the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was very true to the comics, except for the fact he had the natural webbing. But I thought that was kind of cool that they did that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you kind of never run out then.
Yeah,
like, you know, it's not
it
that
adds a different element to the action.
Oh, no, out of webbing, what am I going to do? No, there's none of that. Like, you know, it's just natural. But I do like that the kid is smart enough. He made his own cartridges. And, you know, Tony Stark is even impressed by the strength of this webbing. And, you know, so on and so forth. So, and Team Cap doing the same thing. You know, we're going to go get Ant-Man or whatever. And
just falling asleep in the back of the van.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, we'll come back to it in a few minutes, but Ant-Man got a little something up his sleeve. You know, that we didn't know about Ant-Man, or, you know, most of us didn't know. So, okay, so, you know, you got both sides anteing up, and this all comes to a head at the airport, and Cap is basically, you know, talking junk to Iron Man, and Iron Man's, you know what, whatever. And he calls him under ruse, which is hilarious. Spider-Man comes on the screen, steals Captain America's shield, sits there like, oh, hey guys, like, you know, all cocky and talk shit. I've seen the movie twice. Both times, people stand up cheering and screaming and hooping and hollering. Spider-Man comes on the screen.
Like it's the real Spider-Man.
Like, right, like this dude is on stage in front of us live.
Yeah, like acting with the movie.
Like, and you know, on the side.
And then I spun like this, and then I spun like that.
You know, on the side, why do people cheer at movies? They are not there in front of you. You're cheering at a screen right now.
I think it's more the collective experience.
Here.
Like, oh, I'm clapping and they clapping and we all clapping.
But if it's a live performance, by all means, I will give them all the clapping they want. But I am never, ever clapping at a damn movie screen.
Okay, here's the thing. Have you ever been at home watching a movie and something wild happens? You're like, oh my god!
Not in appreciation for the performance, like, oh, woo, or something like that. Like, yeah, but not like, oh, like, this was a great show.
Okay, well, I mean, maybe it starts off as like, oh my god!
You're grabbing the straws, man. But
man, I'm trying to keep the, you know.
But anyway, so these people cheer whatever Spider-Man, and, like, the fight is phenomenal. Like, it is one of the best, like, movie scenes ever.
I loved it.
Like
that was one of my favorite scenes.
You get
too.
a little bit of everything. You got like Hawkeye fighting Black Widow, like you're still my girl, right, or whatever. And she's all like, you're not gonna fuck me up or whatever. And you got Scarlet Witch come over and just throw this chick against after that. You'll pull your punches or whatever. And like, damn girl, like. You need to relax.
She's jealous.
Right? Because it's evenly matched, so you gotta have hot chick versus hot chick, or you can't have two hot chicks on the same team, or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
you can't have that.
That's...
Well, you can, but...
You can. I mean, hey. And they could have been doing a lot more fighting, too, but... That's a tough choice right there, man. I mean, Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow is awesome, but Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch is real good looking, too. Like... If they're both like coming at Dave Roach or whatever, I would try to make me the meat and they're the bread.
And she straight dig-dugged the Vision into the earth.
She's a bad little chick,
she's just like, get into the ground.
Yeah. Like, so maybe you do side with, the Black Widow because she can't magically just destroy you in your sleep or whatever. Like,
you wake up hanging off the balcony like, oh my god, it's like, you said another girl's name in your dreams, I'm gonna drop you.
You drank the last of the milk.
Oh shit. So you don't even like milk.
But,
baby, you're lactose intolerant.
They had, so they're fighting, but it's like, a standstill. And, time is running down because basically they're fighting because Team Cap wants to get on an airplane or whatever and go to Siberia and fight,
right?
Baron Zemo. Because everybody's figured out, except for Iron Man at this point, has figured out, what the deal is. And, they're trying to resolve this. And they need something. So all of a sudden Ant-Man comes out the side of his neck like, all right, I'm going to try this, but I might die.
Yeah, last time I did this one, he said I threw up and passed out.
Yeah. So this dude, on his little arm bar or whatever, and boom, turns into Giant Man. And it was pretty crazy, like...
It was so great.
It was pretty wild, like...
And just his reaction to his own... he's like, oh my god! Like, that was hilarious, and then everybody else's reaction, especially Spider-Man, where he's like... Because this is all new for him.
Yeah.
And it was such a great scene.
Yeah. And then, it's funny, because, the end credits scene, they got Spider-Man or whatever, and, he's telling Aunt May, basically, he got jumped or whatever. He's like, oh, you should have seen the other guy. And it's from huge. Really huge. He's like, they'll never forget that. That is imprinted on his brain. And it's funny because, it's not funny though, because, they kind of used that in the comics too. They had a Giant Man, Bill Foster was his name. He's a black guy or whatever. That matters, whatever. But he was Giant Man in the comics at that point. And basically, he gets killed while he's in Giant Man form, or whatever, in the Civil War comic.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, basically what happens is Thor is not around. And they basically clone Thor, but he's like a clone, cyborg named Ragnarok.
Okay.
Basically. And he Mjolnir... whatever, lightning strikes Bill Foster right through his chest and blows a hole in his chest, the size of...
his heart.
Yeah, five pumpkins,
Oh, jeez.
Or whatever.
5 pumpkins.
Because this dude is, big like that or whatever. It's just this huge chunk missing out of this Giant Man, and, he's dead.
Yeah, instantly he would be.
So I'm like, no, they're going to kill Ant-Man? Don't...
Oh, if
because in my mind I'm thinking they killed Giant Man in the comic, they might kill this dude right here now. I'm like, no, but then it didn't happen.
If you ever see Ragnarok, you better start praying for Ant-Man because they already established him as someone who can grows unless they introduce somebody else.
We'll see. But so basically, that enables Captain and Bucky to run off and get to the Quinjet, but they got Black Widow there.
She's all like,
listen, like, you're not going to stop.
I didn't see nothing.
Right, so I'm just going to let you go because I believe you're going to do the right thing, and you're my friend, like, I don't want to hurt you.
Yeah.
So he runs off, and Black Panther comes down there, and she just starts stunning that dude. And he's a tough dude because, like, one of those stunts is supposed to be done, and he's like, oh, and then gets up, and she got stunned again. It looks like she gets him like 3 or 4 times before they get away or whatever. Like, she got to keep getting this thing. I'm like, that's a tough dude, man. And you know, I complain about his accent a little bit. Like, I'm just saying, if I had to pick something bad about him, I think he just overdid it on the accent a bit. But aside from that, he's the man.
Yeah,
like, he is a good-ass actor. Like, especially at the end when he's, like, has that little confrontation with Zemo. He's like, I will not let the, you know, it will not consume me any longer. And he, like, puts the gun away from him. Like, he doesn't allow him to kill himself.
Yeah, it's like the living aren't done with you yet.
Yeah, the living are not done with you yet. Like, I can't even do it like him because he's so thick and, like, strong with it. Like, he's too much, but whatever. And Bob right now is going to be like, you racist son of a bitch.
What?
Like, how dare you say the African accent is too African. Like, you have no right.
Well, because I know the guy who played his father, he's like an established actor. He's like a really good actor, and I always see him with an accent.
Yeah, I'm sure that dude's really African, but
and his
Chadwick
accent,
Boseman is not from Africa.
Maybe not, but his accent didn't seem like
I will
crazy
hang out with
different
you for 6 months so I can talk like you.
Maybe that. I mean,
Bullshit,
like that's how method actors go.
His dad's accent was real. Like it didn't sound.
But that's what
forced.
acting is making something not real sound real.
He went full retard or whatever. You don't go full retard.
Yo, that's fucked up.
No, I'm just saying, like, you know, that is apt.
You gotta say he went full African.
Full African? I thought that would be more offensive.
I don't know.
Than saying full retard. Not the African, I'm not saying African people are retards, but it's the method of acting or whatever. Like, you went full retard, and you can't go full retard.
You went Tropic Thunder.
But yeah, no, like, he did a great job, but yeah, like, Black Widow kind of punked him, and Iron Man's all bitch, kind of, like, trying to call her out and say, well, Black Panther told Ross what she did, so they're coming for you. And she's all like a G about shit. Hey, you better watch. You know, I'm not the one that got to watch my back. Walks away with her ass all shaking and shit. Like.
Now, do you think her stunning him was because his suit is made out of that, like, vibranium inlaid fabric?
No, I think her stun gun, you know, did the job it was supposed to do. He was just
because wasn't he like bouncing bullets and stuff off?
Yeah, but her stun is not a bullet. Like,
well, I know it's not a bullet, but it's also vibranium.
Yeah, but vibranium absorbs sound and shock, so maybe not electric, but like the pulse of the shock or whatever it counteracts with it. Like, it's not good with the vibranium.
Okay.
It's maybe a theory. Because she was even able to hurt Ultron with it.
Oh, alright.
He's made of part vibranium, too.
Okay.
But, yeah, so they're able to get away, and then they go confront... Well, they're on their way to go confront Zemo, who winds up being behind all this. He gets himself a little Bucky mask. He finds, like, the Winter Soldier programming book. He's the one who blows up the Senate meeting or whatever. He's
behind it all. Everything messed up happening
except for Crossbones at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But everything else is him, and basically all the everybody but Cap and Bucky from Team Cap get captured. And Iron Man, he gets this information, basically, that proves Bucky was innocent and not guilty, and it was a Zemo dude. So he has to go to basically what they call the raft, where they imprison superpowered people.
That was wild.
Yeah, and that's something they did in the comic, too, and it was very true to the comic. It's pretty cool how, true to the comic that was. And he talks to Falcon, and Falcon basically, like, begrudgingly, you know, because he doesn't really trust Iron Man, but he's like, look, man, I'm going to tell you where they went, but, you know, go as a friend. And he was, like, Iron Man.
I was very pleased with that.
Yeah,
like,
Iron Man
he didn't
was...
step back on his word at all.
Yeah.
He was 100% neutral and on their side. Like, all right, let's find out this together.
Yeah, like, you know, I was wrong. Let's make this right.
No doubt.
And then it was all the way up there, you know, up until he got shown that video.
Fucking video.
And then that led to probably...
Watch my YouTube video. It's going to go viral, Iron Man.
And that was probably the second best scene in the movie, that fight between the, you know, Cap, Bucky, and Iron Man.
It was definitely
awesome.
It was definitely shorter. There was definitely less people, but all in all, there was still so much action happening.
Yeah.
Like Cap and Bucky were so quick with those punches and the toss back of the shield. Like, it was hard to follow that shield at certain parts. I was like, yo, they're really like throwing this dude around.
Awesome. I love seeing that. I like Iron Man. Like, don't get me wrong, but Captain America's the dude. Like, just seeing him digging up in Iron Man like that, man, it is pretty good. And the other only real bad thing I can say about the movie is they should have ended it sooner to the end of that fight. There was another, like, 15, 20 minutes in this movie after that fight where I'm just like...
Well, it's kind of like putting the Band-Aid on the fight between him and Stark.
Where
it's kind of like, hey, man, we're not around, but we'll always be here if you need us.
And that kind of leads into the aftermath of what happened in the comics. I don't know if they're going to do this or not, but that should lead into Secret Avengers, which is a pretty cool storyline. And I don't know what's going to happen, like, with these movies or whatever, but then we're leading into the invasion, the secret invasion, where basically the Skrulls are infiltrating the Marvel Universe, and they have no idea who's who, or whatever, and...
Oh, they're like shapeshifters?
Yeah, they're shapeshifters,
like pod people or shapeshifters?
No, like shapeshifters.
Okay. So the real people still exist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. And that is just Civil War is great. I don't know if I could say Secret Invasion is better, but it's on par and just as great and is, like, enthralling as Civil War was as a comic. But I don't know if they'll be... Well, first of all, the Skrulls are really like a Fantastic Four thing. So I don't know.
So
if
they might not even be able to touch on it because it might be owned by...
Yeah, it's definitely owned by Fox.
Yeah.
And if Fox was smart, maybe they should try to do it or whatever, because that would be a crazy movie. But they can't even get Doctor Doom right, so it's whatever.
Right?
The most badass villain, in Marvel history, and we can't get this dude right for nothing. But I really liked how they ended that.
Yeah, but with Secret Invasion, even if we touched on that, even if Marvel was able to get some sort of right to that, that would have to be after the Gauntlet Wars, right?
Well, what I heard was Infinity War was just a starting title. Like, it might not even have anything. It might not even be titled Infinity War by the time we get to it.
But, I mean, it'll still be Thanos and... we'll probably see the mixing of the Guardians of the Galaxy with the Avengers.
Right, well, I mean...
Right, because, those two stories are kind of starting to blend.
What they're saying is, they plan to have a great deal of characters in this Infinity War movie, so it's going to encompass the whole MCU. They're going to have to.
Do you think they'll pull from the TV show?
Oh, absolutely. I think John Barenthal's the Punisher, wherever the Punisher is going to show up in the MCU.
Well, even like Daredevil and...
what's his name? Cox. I forget his first. Charlie Cox is the Daredevil in the MCU, whether it be on TV.
But I didn't know if those were characters that they'd be willing to put on the big screen. Like, are they actually involved in Infinity War?
No, I don't think so. Maybe. Like, I don't know.
They might not even try to... Because they hint at the existence of some of these characters, like with the Punisher in the last Captain America and Avengers movie.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, well, this, we can speculate, could have been driven by the Punisher, or, oh, this over here, that looks like something that, might have been done by such and such. but no actual forefront confirmation.
But yeah, I would believe we would probably see them in major films at some point.
I would really hope so, because I think they've been doing really good in the TV series.
Yeah, I mean those Netflix shows are phenomenal.
And I can't wait for that Punisher series to come out. We'll have to make that a separate one, because I really want to speculate on the Punisher a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, but as far as Civil War, I mean, do you have any gripes?
My only gripe was the fact that the whole killing the Winter Soldiers. I was really bummed out about that, because before I even saw the movie, somebody had said, "Oh yeah, this is only part 1, too," and I'm like, real? So when they introduced the Winter Soldier, and it's the end of the movie, it's I've already been here for 2 hours. There's no way we're going to get a Winter Soldier fight in here, so that must be what part 2 is. They unleash the Winter Soldiers on the world, and part 2 is them having to capture them up. But no, we walk into the test plant, and everybody's got a bullet in their head, and he's just well, that was kind of meh. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. I loved how they brought all these different characters together. Some people say it's overcrowding. I like it, because they'll have fights like the airport scene, and then they'll shrink it down, and then have fights at the Hydra plant, where it's just 3 of them.
The Civil War was overcrowded at all. They did a great job of having many characters in this movie and not making it feel jumbled, like Batman vs. Superman, where they had 4 or 5 characters in this movie, and it felt so jumbled. It felt so rushed, and it was a long movie, and it still felt rushed, or whatever. It was pretty absurd. And I'm not hating on Batman and Superman, because I thought that was a good movie. It was a good action film. But it's not going to win no awards.
But it was very hard to... the stories seemed very separate, even though they were supposed to be together.
Yeah, it could have been 2 movies. For sure.
But, I mean, if you just look at it as a simple stepping stone towards the Justice League, I'm on board. Just make the next standalone Batman good, and please don't make it another origin. And just make the next Superman movie really good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I'll have no problem with Batman vs. Superman. Because if you look at it overall, it's really just an introduction of Batman into the universe. And if you look at it just like that, then I think it's a good job. Because all we have right now are the Superman movies.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you need to start getting more build-up in this universe.
Right.
So, curious what they're going to do with Cyborg.
Right.
And Aquaman. I'm really curious about their standalone movies. Not saying that they're scheduled to happen real soon, but I've never seen an Aquaman movie, and I'm not a real big fan of Entourage, so it's not like I could have watched theirs. Which is funny, because it's that'd have been really wild if they grabbed him, but it would have been a novelty. It wouldn't have been a legitimate casting. Because you'd be yeah, this is funny because he was Aquaman in Entourage, but this is kind of disappointing because he's not really holding up to the character.
Yeah. Right.
But, I mean, it seems like we've wandered from Civil War. We're kind of winding down here.
Entourage and stuff.
Let's, I guess, let's call it. This is MOPO's podcast on Captain America Civil War. I'm Rob, he's Dave, and this has all been a matter of our personal opinion.
Yeah, it's all MOPO.
Alright, like, share, subscribe. Thank you very much for listening.